Good morning. Now we will talk about dynasty. Firstly, we must know what's the meaning of dynasty. To understand what's the meaning of dynasty, if you have values, same volumes of different matters, and you want to measure its mass, you will find you will find they are different in their masses. I mean, if you have same volumes of iron, wood, cork, if you have 1 cubic centimeter of iron, 1 cubic centimeter of wood, 1 cubic centimeter of cork, and you want to measure their masses, you will find that their masses are different. You will find the mass of iron more than the mass of wood, more than the mass of cork. Whatever they are, they have the same volumes. Why? Because they are different in something called the density. They are different in density. The density of iron different from the density of wood, different from the density of cork. So if you have the same volumes of different matters, you will have different masses due to the difference in density. And another example, if you have the same masses of different matters, if you have 1 kilogram of cork, 1 kilogram of wood, and 1 kilogram of iron, and you wanted to measure their volumes, you will find that their volumes are different. What if they have the same masses? Why? Because they are different in their density. They have different values of density. So if you have the same values, the same volumes of different matter, you will have or these matters will have different masses. If you have same masses of different matters, you will have different volumes due to the difference in density. So what is the meaning of density? To understand what is the meaning of density, you must know you must know what the law of density. Density equal density. The symbol of density is d. Density equal mass divided volume. Mass divided volume. Mass. The symbol of mass is m. The symbol of volume is v. And the measuring unit of mass is in gram, or measuring unit of volume is cubic centimeter. So density d equal mass divided volume. Mass in gram, volume divided volume in cubic centimeter. So we can define the density from this law. What is the meaning of density? Density, it is the mass of unit volume of substance. Mass of unit volume of substance, or it is the mass of 1 cubic centimeter of substance. So density, mass of unit volume of substance, or mass of 1 cubic centimeter of substance. This is called the definition of density. So what is the measuring unit of density? The measuring unit of density is a gram per cubic centimeter. Because of the density, the density equal mass in a gram, volume in a cubic centimeter. So density equal gram per cubic centimeter. The measuring unit of density, gram per cubic centimeter. In this point, we have a question. What is meant by the density of water is 1 gram per cubic centimeter? What is the meaning of that? That is meaning that the mass of 1 cubic centimeter of water equal 1 gram. The mass of unit volume of water is 1 gram. The density of water 1 gram per cubic centimeter. This is mean the mass of 1 cubic centimeter of water equal 1 gram, because in a question the question is the density. So in a question the measuring unit of density is a gram per cubic centimeter. When I answer, I will say the mass of 1 cubic centimeter of water equal 1 gram. Because I say mass, I write 1 gram. After this, if you have a question, the density is mass of unit volume of substance, and its measuring unit is gram per cubic centimeter. Density equal mass divided volume. Density equal mass divided volume. After this, in this point, why we study density? Because we can differentiate between substance by their density. Why we can differentiate between substance by their density? Because the density of matter is fixed value. Density of each matter is fixed value. Each matter has its own density. There aren't two substances have the same density. Why? Because the density of matter is fixed value. The density is each matter has its own density, so there aren't two substances have the same density, so we can differentiate between the substance by their density. I mean, if you have a copper 2 cubic centimeter from copper and 10 cubic centimeter from copper, you will find the density of 2 cubic centimeter from copper is the same density of 10 cubic centimeter from copper. Why? Because the density is fixed value, whatever their masses, whatever their volumes, the density of each matter has a fixed value. Uh, what happened when decreasing the volume of a body to half according to its density? The density remain constant. What will happen decreasing the mass of a body to half according to its density? The density remain constant. What will happen increase the volume of a body to twice? The density remain constant. Increase the mass, the density remain constant. So the density is a constant. Density is constant for each substance. Each substance has its own density, so we can differentiate between the substance by their density. There aren't two substances have the same density. Therefore, equal masses of different substances have different volumes. As I said before, equal volumes of different substances have different masses. Why? Because they are different in their density due to the difference in density. So each substance has its own density. Like if you have the same masses of different matters, so you have 10 gram of copper and 10 gram of cork, and you want to measure their volume. You will find the measure of copper is the measure of copper is smaller than the measure of the volume of copper is lower than the volume of cork. Why? Because they are different in the density. So if you have the same volume, the same mass of different matters, you will have different volumes. Another example, if you have 1 cubic centimeter of copper and 1 cubic centimeter of aluminum, and you want to measure their masses, you will find that the mass of copper more than the mass of aluminum. Why? Because they are different in their density. So equal volume of different substance have different masses, and equal masses of different substance have different volume due to the difference in density. So, so a density, each matter has its own density. Density is a fixed value. We can differentiate between the matters by their density, and we can calculate the density by mass divided volume. Density, we can calculate the density by mass, density equal mass divided volume. And if you want to measure the mass equal volume times density. Mass equal volume times density. And if you want to measure the volume equal mass divided density. This is the laws that we used it in solving the problems. Density equal mass divided volume, mass equal volume times density, volume equal mass divided density. We have one example. Calculate the density of a substance whose mass is 35 gram and its volume is 25, 25 cubic centimeter. You will write the law of density. Density equal mass divided volume. D equal mass divided V. So density equal 35. The mass divided 25. The volume equal 1.4. You must write the measuring unit of density is a gram per cubic centimeter. This is a simple problem. If you want to measure the density equal D equal mass M divided volume V, M in gram and volume in cubic centimeter. So mass equal 35 gram divided the volume equal 25 cubic centimeters. So the density equal 1.4 gram per cubic centimeter. Another example, in an experiment for determining the density of a liquid, the following results are recorded. The mass of empty cylinder is 75 gram. The mass of the cylinder containing liquid is 135 gram. The volume of a liquid is equal 100 cubic centimeter. Calculate the density of a liquid. You When we want to solve this problem, you will write, this is the answering of this question. We want to measure the density. Density equal mass divided volume. Mass in a gram divided volume in a cubic centimeter. You must ask yourself a question. We want to calculate the density of what? The density of a liquid. So the mass must be for a liquid and the volume must be for a liquid. In this problem, you will find the volume of a liquid. The volume of a liquid is 100 cubic centimeter. But in this problem, if you want to find the density of a liquid, you want to find it. Why? Because in this problem there is a mass of empty cylinder and a mass of cylinder containing a liquid. But you want you don't have the mass of a liquid, so you must measure the mass of a liquid. The mass of a liquid equal the mass of the liquid equal the mass of the cylinder containing liquid minus the mass of empty cylinder. The mass of cylinder containing a liquid minus the mass of empty cylinder. So we can measure the mass of a liquid. So the measure of the mass of a liquid equal 135 gram minus 75 gram. 135 minus 75 gram equals 60 gram. So the mass of a liquid is 60 gram. Then you will put the mass of a liquid in the law equal 60 gram divided volume of a liquid 100. So the density of a liquid equal mass divided volume. Mass 60 divided volume 100 equal 0.6 gram per cubic centimeter. So in this problem, you must ask your question. I want to measure the density of what? The density of a liquid. So I must have the mass of a liquid and the volume of a liquid. Volume of a liquid in the problem 100 cubic centimeter, but the mass of a liquid, I don't have the mass of a liquid. I have the mass of a cylinder containing a liquid, and I have the mass of empty cylinder. So if you if you want to calculate the mass of a liquid, must equal the mass of a cylinder containing a liquid minus the mass of empty cylinder. Then you will apply it in the law and calculate the density of a liquid. Another example, on determining the iron density using a piece of iron whose mass is 156 gram. The iron piece is immersed in 60 cubic centimeter of water. The water rises up to 80 cubic centimeter. Find the density of iron. So I must ask myself a question. I wanted to measure what? I wanted to measure the density of iron. So I will write the law. I want to measure the density. Density equal mass divided volume. Density of what? Density of iron. So mass of iron and volume of iron. In this problem, if you want to find the mass of iron, yes, the iron has mass is 156 gram. So the mass equal 156 gram. If you want to find the volume of iron, you don't have the volume of iron. You have the volume of the volume of water is 60, and the volume of water after put the iron in it is 80 cubic centimeters. So you must calculate the volume of iron. The volume of iron equal V2 minus V1. V2 is the volume of water and iron together. V1 is the volume of water only. So the volume of iron equal V2 minus V1. V2 is 80 minus 60 equal 20 cubic centimeter. So the volume of iron is 20 cubic centimeter. So you have the mass of iron is 156. The volume of iron is 20 cubic centimeter. So we can calculate the density of iron. The density of iron is equal 156 divided 20 equal 7.8 what gram per cubic centimeter. Why gram per cubic centimeter? Because you calculate the density, and the measuring unit of density is gram per cubic centimeter. So in the problems of the density, you must ask yourself a question. I wanted to measure what? The density of iron. So you have mass of iron and volume of iron. You want to measure what? The density of water. So you have mass of water and volume of water. You wanted to measure the density of copper. You must have the mass of copper and the volume of copper to calculate the density of copper. After this, we will talk about the relation between the floating or sinking of matter in water and the density. What is the meaning of this? If you put some substance in water, you will find some of these substance will float in the water and the other substance will sink in the water. Why? Because these substances are different in their density. If you have some substances that have their density is lower than the density of water, so this substance will float in the water. And if you have some substances that have the density more than the density of water, so this substance will sink in the water. So you have a rule. If you have the materials which have higher density than water will sink in water, and the materials that have lower density of water will float on the water. Like what? If you have wood, cork, iron, oil, food, ice, iron, nail, and metallic coin, you will find wood, cork, oil, food, and ice will float on the water. Why? Because their density is lower than the density of water. And if you and an iron nail and metallic coin will sink in water. Why? Because their density is more than the density of water. So in some problems, in the problem, you need to measure the density of substance. After you measure the density of substance, you want to you want to know this substance will float on water, and or this substance will sink on in water. Like the following table record the values of masses and the volume of substance. Arrange the substance decently according to their density, then show which of them float on water surface and which of them sink in water. You will answer this question by you will calculate the density of each substance by mass divided volume. 50 divided 50 equal 1. 31.2 divided 4, you will measure the density of iron. You will measure the density of petrol oil by divided mass divided volume, and red copper and cork. You will measure the density of these substance by mass divided volume. After this, you will arrange them decently according to their density and you will say the substance that float on water and the substance that sink in water. Substance will float in water. They are the substance that has that its density more than less than one. They are substance will float in water. So substance will sink on water. Their density more than one. Why one? Because the density of water is one. Like if I wanted to calculate the density of iron, equal 31.2 divided 4. You will find its density equal 7.8, and the density of water 50 divided 50 is 1. Iron its density is 7.8. So the density of the iron more than the density of the water. So the iron will sink in water. Another example, cork. If you want to calculate the density of cork, mass divided volume, 5 divided 25 equal 0.2 gram per cubic centimeter. So the density of cork is lower than the density of water, lower than the one, so the cork will float on the water. Now, now we will talk about the life application of density. We have three life application of density. Number one, water isn't used to put out or extinguish petrol fires. Why? Because the density of petrol fire is lower than the density of water, so the petrol fires will float on the surface of water, so the water can't put out or extinguish petrol fires. Number two, balloons that we used it in festival filled with hydrogen or helium to rise up in the air. Why? Because the density of the hydrogen or the density of the helium is lower than the density of the of air, so these balloons will fly in the air. So the balloons filled with hydrogen or helium rise up in the air carrying flags during the festivals. Why? Because the density of the hydrogen and the density of the helium less than the density of the air, so these balloons can fly in the air. Another life application of the density, we can check the purity of some substance by calculate their density. How? We talked before that the density the density of each matter has its own density. The density is fixed value for each substance. So if you have a milk, the density of milk is 1.03 gram per cubic centimeter. If you buy the milk and calculate the density of the milk, and you will find the density of milk is 1.03 gram per cubic centimeter, this milk is pure. And if you buy the milk and calculate its density, and find its density isn't 1.003 gram per cubic centimeter, so this milk is impure or doubled. So how can we? I bought some milk, and I wanted to check its purity. How can I check its purity? I will measure the mass of milk by using a scale, balance scale, and I will measure the volume of milk, 1 liter or two liter, and I will calculate the density of milk by mass divided volume. Then, after I calculating its density, I will check its purity. If its density is 1.03, it's pure. If its density isn't 1.03 gram per cubic centimeter, its density is or its milk. This milk is impure. So the change in the density of matter is used to check the purity of matter, because each matter has its own density. Therefore, the change in the density value of any substance indicate its impurity. This is the density. It is an important point, very important point in this lesson. We talked about what is the meaning of density, mass of unit volume of substance, the law of density equal mass divided volume. The density is fixed value, or there aren't two substances have the same density, so we can differentiate between some substances by using its density. If you want to calculate DE, density equal mass M divided volume, mass in gram divided volume in a cubic centimeter. If you wanted to calculate the mass, equal volume times density. If you wanted to measure volume, equal mass divided density. After this, some substances float on water because their density is lower than the density of water. Some substances sink in water because their density is more than the density of water. Some life application of density: we can't extinguish petrol fires by water because the density of petrol fires is less than the density of water. Balloons that we used in festivals filled with hydrogen and helium, because the density of hydrogen and the helium is less than the density of air. So the balloons will fly in the air. We can check the purity of the matters by using the density, because each matter has its own density. Number 3 in physical properties in this lesson, the melting point. What is the meaning of melting point? There is a difference between melting point and the melting process. The melting process means the process that the matter change from solid state to liquid state by heating. It is called the melting process. But melting point, it is a temperature at which the matter begin to change from solid state to liquid state. So there is a difference between melting process and the melting point. Melting process is a process that in which the change of matter from solid state to liquid state by heating. Melting point, the temperature at which matter begin to change from solid state to liquid state. We can differentiate between substances by using a melting point. Why? Because the melting point of or each substance has its own melting point. There aren't two substances that has the same melting point. So what is the meaning, or if we want to know what is the meaning by the melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius, this means that the ice begin to change into water at 0 degrees Celsius, or the temperature at which the ice will change into water is 0 degrees Celsius. There are some substance. Each substance has a definite melting point. There are some substances that has low melting point, and some substances have high melting point. Some substances that have a low melting point, such as wax, butter, and ice. Some substances that have high melting point, such as iron, copper, aluminum, and table salt. Some life application of melting point. Cooking pans or cooking pots are made up of aluminum or stainless steel alloy, which don't rust. Stainless steel alloy, it is alloys that form from some substance. Cooking pans are made up of from aluminum or stainless steel alloy. Why? Because they have high melting point. Aluminum and stainless steel have high melting point, so we can make cooking pans from them. Another life application of melting point, workmen melt the solid metals. Why? To form to form alloys such as stainless steel alloy and copper gold alloy. Copper gold alloy, it is alloy from copper and gold that is used in making jewelry. And another alloy, nickel chrome alloy, that is used in making heating coils. So we recommend melt the solid metals to form the alloys. Number four in the physical properties, boiling point. There is a difference between boiling point and boiling process or evaporation process. Boiling process or evaporation process, it is a process at which the matter change from liquid state to gaseous state by heating. But boiling point, it is a temperature at which matter begin to change from liquid state to gaseous state. It is called boiling point. We can differentiate between some substance by using their boiling point. Why? Because the boiling point is fixed value. Each substance has its own boiling point, so we can differentiate between substances by using its boiling point. What is meant by the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. This means that water begin to change into water vapor at 100 degrees Celsius, or the temperature at which water changes into water vapor is 100 degrees Celsius. Each liquid or each substance has its definite boiling point, so we can differentiate between substances by using a boiling point. Some application of boiling point, we can separate the component of petroleum oil by heating. Why? Because there is a difference between them in their boiling point. The component of petroleum oil are different in their boiling point. Question: who are my substances that have high melting point, like iron or copper alloy that is used in making jewelry, copper gold alloy? Solid substance whose melting point is 1500 degrees Celsius started to change into liquid at 105 degrees Celsius melting point, so it changed into liquid at 1500 degrees Celsius. Number B, stainless steel is a type of alloys. Number A. And thank you.